The smell of motor oil and old leather filled the air as Ava wiped the sweat from her forehead, tightening the last bolt on a beat-up truck that had seen better days. At just 22, she wasn't just running a garage, she was keeping alive her late father's dream. Her father had built this shop with his bare hands, believing in hard work, honesty, and kindness, and when he passed 2 years ago, Ava promised herself she wouldn't let it die. But promises didn't pay the bills. Business was slow. Most of her customers were locals, struggling just like her, bringing in cars they could barely afford to fix and sometimes leaving with, "I'll pay you next week," promises. Her friends told her to give up, move to a big city, find an easier life. But Ava couldn't. Dad used to say, "This shop isn't about money, it's about people," she reminded herself. "And I'm not quitting on people." It was late, later than she wanted to admit, and the rain outside had turned the dirt roads into puddles. She was packing up when she heard the sound of an engine coughing its last breath. Headlights cut through the downpour, and a sleek black sedan rolled slowly toward her shop. It was nothing like the usual rusty trucks and old minivans she saw around here. The driver stepped out, a man in his late 50s, wearing an expensive, now soaked suit. He looked frustrated but oddly calm. "I'm sorry to barge in this late," he said, his voice carrying an accent she couldn't place. "My car, it just stopped. I have an important meeting in the morning, and I don't know anyone around here. Can you help?" Ava hesitated. She was tired. Her back ached. She had planned on going home, heating up some leftover soup, and collapsing into bed. But something about his eyes, exhausted yet hopeful, pulled at her. "Pull it into the bay," she said, grabbing her tools. The man followed her instructions, but as she popped the hood, he added, almost apologetically, "I don't have cash on me right now. I'll pay you later if that's okay." Ava glanced up, smirking through the exhaustion. "Don't worry about it. You need help, I can help. That's all that matters." For the next 2 hours, Ava worked tirelessly in the cold garage, diagnosing the problem, removing parts, and repairing the issue as rain tapped on the metal roof. The man watched her in awe, how her hands moved with confidence, how she seemed to know every sound and smell of the car. Finally, she slammed the hood shut and started the engine. It roared to life. The man's face lit up with disbelief. "That's it? You fixed it just like that?" Ava shrugged, wiping grease off her hands. "It wasn't too bad. You should be good for the road now." He reached for his wallet, but she stopped him with a hand. "I told you, no charge. Just, drive safe, okay?" He stared at her, puzzled. "You're sure? Why would you?" She cut him off with a small smile. "My dad always said, help where you can, especially when it costs you nothing but kindness." I guess it stuck. For a moment, the man said nothing. Then, almost softly, he replied, "Your father raised you well." He thanked her, got into his car, and disappeared into the rainy night. Ava didn't think about it again. To her, it was just another act of kindness, helping someone because it was the right thing to do. But the next morning, her world changed. As Ava walked toward her garage, coffee in hand, she froze. Parked out front wasn't another rusty old pickup. It was a gleaming white limousine, its chrome reflecting the morning sun. Standing beside it was the same man from last night, now in a perfectly tailored suit, looking every bit the kind of man who owned a car like that. "Good morning, Ava," he said warmly, as though they were old friends. She blinked. What's going on?" The man stepped closer, extending a folder. "My name is David Prescott. I'm the CEO of Prescott Motors." Ava nearly dropped her coffee. Prescott Motors wasn't just any company, it was one of the biggest automotive manufacturers in the country. David continued, "Last night, you didn't just fix my car. You reminded me of something I had forgotten. There are people in this world who still help simply because it's the right thing to do. You didn't know me. You didn't ask for anything. And yet, you gave me your time and skill. Ava's mouth went dry. She wasn't sure if she was dreaming. I run a program for young mechanics, David said. We provide full scholarships, advanced training, and mentorship for people with real passion. And I'd like to offer you a spot in Detroit. You'll learn from some of the best, work in my company, and get paid while doing it. No strings attached. I think your father would be proud to see you take this step. Ava's hands trembled as she clutched the folder. She thought of her father, of all the nights she spent wondering if she could keep his dream alive. And now this. This stranger she had helped without thinking, was offering her the opportunity of a lifetime. Tears welled up in her eyes. I don't know what to say. Say yes, David said simply, his expression kind. You deserve this. Ava nodded, overwhelmed. Yes. Absolutely yes. That evening, as the limousine carried her toward a future she had only ever imagined, Ava looked out at the little shop growing smaller in the distance. It had been her world, her safe place, her connection to her father. And now, because she had chosen kindness when it mattered most, it had opened a door she never knew existed. She whispered softly, "Thanks, Dad. For teaching me to help first, ask later."